Welcome back. We are looking at human populations. We've looked at how humans have manipulated their own growth curves, and now we're going to look at a different way of understanding the population, the human population in a specific area. So we've been looking at the population of humans in terms of the whole world. Now let's localize and look at the human population in certain countries, for example. And we're going to focus on the human population as it has grown in South Africa. So a kind of graph that helps us to understand this information is what we call an age-gender distribution. Sometimes this is also called an age-gender graph, and sometimes it's called an age-gender pyramid. So you might see in your textbooks different terms used to describe exactly the same thing. So what is an age-gender distribution or an age pyramid? It's a graph, first of all, and it has a pyramid shape to show the age as well as the gender structure. So we're looking at females versus males in a population. And what is interesting is not only are we saying how many males to how many females in the population, we're also looking at the age. So we're going to see the proportion of the population that is male or female, and the proportion is going to be distributed or shared out, organized into our different age groups. So an age-gender distribution is quite complex when you look at it for the first time, but once you know what you're analyzing, it becomes very useful and a lot easier. So let's look at one of these distribution graphs. These are three very general age-gender distributions, not for any particular country, but what they're doing is they're showing us three different patterns of population growth: expanding, contracting, and stationary. So expanding would mean a growing population, contracting would mean a decreasing population that is not growing or is growing negatively, and a stationary graph is going to show us a population in equilibrium. So let's have a look. On our y-axis, we have the ages. And notice that we've broken our ages into ranges, very similar as we use a histogram to record ranges of data. But here our ranges are going up the y-axis. So at the bottom of our graph, we're going to show how many in our population are in the age group 0 to 4. We take a step up, 5 to 9, 10 to 14, all the way up to over 85. Along the x-axis, and we have percentage. What percentage of the population is in this particular age range? So on this graph, we've got 10%, 0%, and 10%. Now that might seem very strange to you until you realize that 0 is like another axis and 10% is showing us the females in this age range. And on the other side of the 0 axis, we've got the males. So at any age range, let's take the 30 to 34 age range, we can reach across or read across, and we can see that about 4% are made up of the females, and slightly less, maybe 3%, are made up of males. And when our population is growing, we've got lots of young children in the population, we see this typical pyramid structure. When we see that there are less young children than what there are adults, we see that our pyramid is a little bit skewed and a little bit upside down, and this shows us that our population is decreasing. When we have straight lines going up our population, so that we see that we've got more or less the same number of males and females in each age range, up until the time when we see that natural causes are going to cause deaths, then we have a stable or stationary population growth rate. If we look at the South African population growth rate, we're going to move from 1950, where our population was at 13,628,434. We're starting down here, and we're going to try and trace how the population grows right up to the early and mid-2000s, and even predicting further into the future. So we can see that in 1950, our population growth rate showed the typical expanding pattern. Large numbers of very young children and decreasing numbers of people as we got older and older. So we're going to take this South African population age gender distribution, and after the break we're going to follow this distribution from year to year to year to see how the South African population has changed over time. What you need to remember is that we can produce an age gender distribution for other countries, and we can see that certain countries will have stable populations. Other countries may have contracting populations, and if we add the contracting and the stable and the expanding data together, overall we find that there are more countries in the world with the same kind of age gender distributions as South Africa, which means that overall human populations are expanding and growing. But after the break, we'll make sure that we explore this concept in a lot more detail. Don't go too far away. I'll see you just now.